So, Lars and Anthony sitting here looking at the main film, Dogville. We've just seen the test. Now we're going to look at the film. And let's have a look and see. First picture from above.
This is the sad tale of the town.
Much cleaner.
Much cleaner, yes. But we have, you know, in the pictures from above, we have gradually tried to make them more and more, what should we say, uegate, what do you say?
Irregular, organic, something, yeah, something incorrect.
Yeah, a little bit more like the one in the test, but the test was remarkable.
Well, see, I think people won't know what we're talking about, maybe, but these pictures are a combination of lots and lots and lots of layers of separate shots that are put together. And what your initial plan was to create a kind of world from above where the perspective was slightly wrong. And apart from the obvious fact that we're shooting from a seeming a great height, and then which we're not in reality doing. But yeah, the first test was much more like matted together, like weaving. It was like weave tapestry, which I adored.
Yeah, but the reason why this looks much better is that you know, the quality that we had in the test will come later on in the film.
Yeah.
So we had kind of an evolution.
Yeah, it develops. Yeah.
Develops.
So this is the opening shot, one long take down into the close-up. Cut down to ground level. There we go. Yeah, we all need that.
you will get your rest. It's 3 hours from now. The whole thing about the narration was also tested, of course.
Do you know you're going to use Hurt?
I would love to use Hurt in the next films. What's wrong with my face? He said.
Did you see that?
Yeah. But he belongs there, and he did a very, very good job, I think.
So quick as well, isn't he? I thought he came twice, and he came here twice, and it was done.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was one of the first scenes we shot, if not the very first scene.
Oh yeah, this film we shot actually. What do you call it?
In continuity.
In continuity, yeah,
as much as possible.
Which I have never tried before.
That's great. I personally really like that. Do you still like that?
Well, no. I don't think there was. It's of course very complicated production wise, and in many aspects it's complicated. And maybe for you it was good, and but I think that for the actors it gives this false feeling of control.
Really?
Yeah.
And did they talk to you about that? Did you talk?
No.
You just sense it?
Yeah, because I want when I direct it and when we shoot it, as you know, we try very many different things, and I want the possibility to use a little of everything.
And you want to detach them from any kind of organization.
And then you have, you know, normal. If you want to build up a normal character and, you know, have it, you know, move it in as the film goes along, then you can use it. But if every scene is kind of a little game, you know, where you do a lot of different things, and you give. You change the character, you do something that's out of character, you do whatever. Then you can't really use it. I don't think it was worth it actually.
Really? Okay, well that's interesting. Obviously, from my point of view, lighting, I was kind of confronted with certain problems early on in the scenes in the first days, and I felt you were coming to terms with how to direct this whole. Yeah,
but the problem for me is that. Normally, you know, a scene like this would have been shot much later. You know, where we were more sure of what we were doing.
Yeah.
And it was also, of course, it was possible to come back to an earlier scene, but somehow it was not logical to do it when you shoot it. You know, in continuity. It was wrong somehow. And as the whole film for me is a big puzzle, and a puzzle is not what you call a jigsaw puzzle. And and something put together from a lot of different, stuff. It's montage. You
Yeah,
could say.
yeah.
Then it's it would be much better for me now to say after this scene, for instance, okay, let's go to scene this because
Really?
this resembles something.
Yeah.
We have something here that we can,
Build
I
on.
have, yeah, I have.
But would you make that decision from something that occurs in eventual, perhaps improvised scenes where you sense something happens between you and the actors, or between the
It
actors?
would be
you
a
think?
great thing to have
That's
the
the ultimate way of
to
doing
have the that would be difficult production-wise also.
Yeah, almost impossible.
But the possibility of within the limits that you have to go to different parts of the film.
Yeah, I suppose we were. I mean, the other thing is that because we were in continuity, as from a production point of view, it was quite. The actors were all there, apart from the odd character like Jimmy Kahn came in late, and Ben I think came in. Well, he came in from the beginning, didn't he, Ben Gazzara? But
No. He was not there the first 2 weeks, and we have actually, as you can see, maybe not in this scene, but somewhere we have somebody else sitting in for him.
Yeah.
At the first 2 weeks.
Fine. Well, there were logistics attached to this film, which I've never experienced in any other film because it was such a special project.
Yeah, but that's going to be different in the next one.
Okay.
It's planned in another way.
Okay.
But of course, it was a big pressure on everybody that you have to have all the actors there all the time.
But I like that. I didn't find it. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, but it's for. Well, it depends on how big a pressure you want, because of course you can get something out of not having that pressure. Also, as you know, a lot of the scenes we did with people there and without people there, because you have another concentration.
But I felt it was after about a week. I felt that you started allowing the actors to leave the stage instead of being on there as some kind of total theatre. You started to allow if they weren't exactly in front of the frame, you brought Nicole Kidman, and you brought Paul Bettany up, and you did scenes with them, and you let the background drop away, which I found was quite surprising. I thought you were going to really insist on keeping everybody up there for some kind of energy reason or something. But that kind of
no, but then
away,
but that way I could have both, right? That was again the same philosophy that you wanted different things, and the
peace and concentration sometimes.
Yeah.
But it wasn't an actor thing. It wasn't an actor thing where they said, "Can you get these people away?" Or can I?
Well, to a certain degree, yes, it was. It's easier to talk to 2 people than to talk to 20 people.
Say that to the politicians.
What?
Say that to the politicians. Okay. Well, from my point of view, just briefly, just to follow on that, obviously, photographically, if you can talk about that, I felt I'd never done anything like this before, and I didn't actually do the test, but I knew what we were going into. But as we proceeded through day 1 and day 2, I realised it wasn't going to be quite as easy as I thought perhaps it was going to be.
That's for sure.
And which was quite hilarious, in fact. And the whole concept of trying to give you as much 360 degrees basically of shooting. I knew you obviously know as a photographer it's going to be difficult, but you become confronted with your own standards that you do not want double. I didn't want double shadows and quadruple shadows everywhere because they were quite disturbing. And I had my work cut out for the first week with Orza, who was lighting designer. And for me, it was nice to kind of get through those early problems in the beginning of the film. And I feel as I watch the film now, which is 3 hours long, that it does, on an aesthetic level, as far as that's concerned, it kind of gets better and better. But I don't know whether that's necessary for you at all. It's not really, because you don't really care about that, do you? As long as it works for you.
Well, I think it's fine that it moves, but I think it could be planned also, even though if you were not shooting it in
continuity. Well, I think we've learned a lot from this one anyway.
Yes.
However different the next one is, it's going to be somewhere along the same lines. It is a very different way of working. It really is. Sometimes I felt standing there, I had 1,000 lights. We had 1,000 lights in the ceiling. And I sometimes felt there's not one of those lights I can use right now. Just give me one. Just give me one on the crowd.
Yeah. But what you can't see here in the film that we all saw, when we shot it, was that you and Åsa, who were doing the lights together, was kind of screaming at each other, and then suddenly the light was changing completely.
Yeah, we had some verbal.
And everybody was in,
the dimming up and down in shot.
in
I like that.
complete darkness. And in the beginning,
Work in progress. Yeah.
and in the beginning, the actors kind of, were a little puzzled.
But see, that's interesting because I thought I was going to do a lot more of that. I thought that I didn't really create a deal with you, but I did think that okay, if that's the way you want it, then the only way I can perhaps give this to you is to make it rough and have lights moving.
Yeah.
I even considered having lights moving all the way through the film because I think, but that again is distracting. But it's no more distracting than seeing lights.
No, but I don't find it distracting. Not in the end.
It's
Then
humorous.
everybody knew that they just had to go on acting even though there were no lights.
Where's my light?
Yeah.
It was funny. Yeah.
No, I remember the first time when I shot a film with this handheld camera, and I had erFGN,
Yeah.
and he had a long monologue, and I said action, and he started the monologue, and I panned away, and he said, "What? What happened? What happened?" No, just go on.
Well, Udo Kier, who plays as one of the gangsters here, when he arrived, also in the middle of shooting, your good friend Udo, and when he arrived for all the way, I've come across the Atlantic to be here. Do you think I'm going to sit here in the dark? And we had to give him do you remember we have to give him a mag light because he didn't have
yeah.
So we gave him a mag light between his legs, which is quite nice anyway.
Yes, I'm sure.
He was happy. Here she comes. I like that. There's a bit of moving light, but that's meant to be in the script. But look. This is a storm, though. The tempest, too.
It is.
Well, you've probably, in retrospect, again, you've probably heard more about this photographing than I have because I've been away and I haven't been to the premieres because I haven't been there.
Nobody has really. No, but that's the interesting thing about doing something that looks different is that the normal stuff people don't go into.
No.
They never talk about the quality of the pictures. Not
because they don't know what to say.
No, because they have a lot. They want to talk about why are there no houses?
Yeah. So other things are disguised. It's funny, isn't it?
So you don't really talk. You don't really talk about the acting either because why are there no houses?
Why are they moving their hands and opening doors that aren't?
Yeah, exactly, stuff like that. Then they. It's not that they do not appreciate it, I think, but it's just that, of course, you want to talk about what is unusual. This cliff was very difficult.
That's my office. That's my office.
Yeah. Inside the cliff was Åsa and Tony.
Yeah.
Doing
Jakob on Fizz.
doing the lights, and they were screaming and.
We were such in love. Yeah. Such a gentle working relationship. Åsa was a true artist with her lights, isn't she?
Oh yes.
Quite an artistic temperament. I thought I was a pragmatist.
Yes.
I was a pragmatist. Getting the cars up on the stage was hilarious.
Yeah, it was very difficult to get them up there because the whole stage was built up, as you can see.
With very little
2
space.
meters up, yeah.
If you want to pass, you'll have to turn around, go back by way of Georgetown. This place, it's called
She's
Dogville.
running the mine.
But before we started, we of course had a lot of tests. Yeah, that's a mag light. This
is a mag light, and I have to confess, well, it's not about a confession. This is not dogma any longer, but this is in fact, there's actually a light. Do you remember for some reason we had a problem here. We brought a light down on the ground. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And we also did for the end scene between Jimmy and Nick.
We had lights.
We just couldn't get lights into the car.
No.
It's impossible.
No, whenever you need a DP, then you ask Tony, what are we going to do here? Oh, we have to bring in an expert.
He'll be there. Bring in a light.
Yeah. So
bring in a DP.
All the rest we could have done ourselves, but for the stuff we really needed, Tony, let's bring in an expert.
It's not fair. I was very, very supportive for you throughout this film. It wasn't easy for either of us.
But to put up these lamps in the car, I could have done, for Christ's sake.
Oh, no. You're talking about precision work. It's still precision work. Oh, no.
Okay.
The angle.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Sorry.
Touching his eyes.
No disrespect, man.
Look at this. It's like 4 stops underexposed. there's Nicole looking. She's remembering her lines, and she's trying to find a light at the same time. That's the sign of a star.
I think that's how it is.
Yeah, you can see her behaving like it's almost like an animal instinct finding lights. You can see her working like that, and she finds.
You want a cup of coffee before you go mountain climbing?
But no, what I wanted to say was that of course before we started filming, we had we went through all the scenes with how the lighting should be and stuff.
You gave me a register of about 1 or 2 words.
Okay, about
Under pressure. Under pressure, you gave me the.
Yeah, we talked something about the moods and the
That's fine.
scenes, of course.
Yeah, I still have a little bit of paper with some notes.
If it had to be, yeah.
But that was fine. It was a guideline. It was very brief. It took about an hour for you to run through it. I remember we were about to leave Trollhead and drive home or something, but and that was all I needed. And I also used that, and we developed the colours from that. And we did have little arguments. I wouldn't say arguments, but there were. I think when we were grading after the film was shot, and you'd cut, and we started to post the film and kind of finalise the colours and the contrast. I remember the first suggestions I came with that were stills from my computer, which I just grabbed and photoshopped. I remember your main first opinion was it was too colourful, that you wanted it more muted and more gentle, so that the occasional appearance of something colourful would have more effect.
Okay, probably.
Yeah, you've forgotten.
No. It's quite colourful.
It's mottled though.
Maybe it's the monitor here.
Yeah, it is a bit more colourful here. It's rustic. I mean, it's kind of. You hear the words Nicholas Nickleby, don't you? And Brecht and Shakespeare and whatever, Bruegel, and these are the words I hear. Maybe it's just
yeah,
mine.
yeah, but that's fine.
And all the costumes have been dampened down in the colours. She was hungry, wasn't she? Walking those hills.
Nick is remarkable because she can do anything in a delicious way.
Yeah.
You know, she's really. I don't know if that's good or bad, but she can.
I'm
She's
thinking.
trained.
She was delectable.
What does that mean?
Delectable. Oh, I'll look it up in the book afterwards. Easy to write.
Delectable. Yeah. Okay. But
Bethany was more. You had a few days getting to
yeah, it was
access.
Yeah, but he was he wanted to control.
Yeah.
Very much so, and that thank God was not possible for anybody to control anything. Not even
Can't even control yourself, can you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I think that these first scenes, this first scene with Nick and Paul, I would have reshot.
Really? Tell me
Yeah, if it had not been in continuity.
for acting reasons.
Yeah, because I think that they after a week or something, or whoever it was, kind of found
Key
the
deeper in.
Yeah,
But you could have easily done that, Lars. I mean, the schedule was not impossible. You could have stayed an hour. I don't even want to, but we could have done that.
yeah, but it was difficult to know at that time, I think.
Okay, so it's more something you thought about in the editing.
And Tom had launched himself fearlessly into his endeavour to elicit.
Here we
And
have
also,
the wine.
when we started this whole project, I thought it would be much easier than it was.
I can echo those words. I agree.
Yeah,
It was still fun, but it was a lot harder.
it was. Yeah, no, but
Lashing out somewhat haphazardly.
I like what Paul is doing better now than I did then.
When it was happening.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about your. I mean, I know some things, but tell me now about your method, because people are interested in that, about your shooting and directing at the same time, the closeness. Is it about intimacy, getting as close as possible to your protagonist? I've always got this theory that that's what you want to do. You want to get as close to privilege we have as a photographer. You want that, which is understandable. Is that really what it's about? Apart from enjoying operating as well, or whatever.
In short, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I get asked that a lot, obviously.
Yeah, but it's not only that, it's also that I have the possibility, you know, of stopping things and changing them while we're still,
Yeah.
you know, the camera is
Yeah.
running. And that is something that, you know, is very difficult because if then you hear something from, there's some noise from outside where the monitor
director's
is,
tent, yeah.
and then somebody's, you know, something is falling down and
Yeah.
somebody's screaming and nobody knows what's
And the
happening.
actors get offended.
And then he's
because,
running in and
yeah.
saying something that nobody understands, running out again,
Yeah.
and then you start again.
Yeah.
Here you can say, okay, great, let's do the line again, you know.
But could we consider, would you consider this, seriously, would you consider if I operated, if we did another film together, if we did, say, another one like this, Mandalay, and we were shooting, and I was shooting, and we had a large picture of you with sound on top of the matte box facing the actors, would that be nice for you, so they could see you? And you could talk to them?
No, I think,
Wouldn't that be lovely?
no.
And you could sit down and have your tea and watch
Crumpets.
and comfort and crumpets and watch and comfort, and I could do all the dirty work. Wrongly, of course.
Well, it's tempting, but then I could stay home, you know.
And stream yourself to the internet. And I just wonder. I mean, I understand, and a lot of people ask me. A lot of obviously image makers ask me, why do you do this? You know, don't you miss your operating, or what is there left for you, etc. Which I think is all rubbish. But that's basically the reason why you get there. You want to get close to them.
But also the fact that
And you can move spontaneously. As you
yeah, you know, either you give it all up and you give the camera to an operator. Because we tried this in between thing with an intercom on Breaking the Waves,
That's right.
and it never really works because you're always too late. You know, could you pan right there? Sorry, what was that?
But I know for a fact on Breaking the Waves you had one of Europe's most famous operators. He is known to be as steady as a rock. And there's you standing there with like a walking stick poking him in the shoulder. I mean, this is obviously a conflict of thought, isn't it?
Yeah, but we had to fool him, you know. We had to tell him to move right when he should move left and stuff like that to get him more.
It's like Santa driving cars. Okay. But your notion...
somehow there is a contact between the camera,
Absolutely.
through the camera, in the sense that, you know, these people that I'm filming now know that I'm looking at them, right?
Yeah, which is a more...
And of course they also, on the other hand, know when I'm not looking at them.
Yeah.
So it is looking at them when I'm behind the camera is somehow putting fuel on them.
Yeah, well, I know Nick said that. I've heard Nick... She's obviously been asked a lot about this. And I've read her comments about that, about sensing you very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know... Because she's obviously been asked a lot about that. And it's kind of authorism. I mean, you've written the story yourself. You know, it's quickly done. It's quite quick from the time of writing to producing the film. I don't know how many, 2 years or 3 years. It's fresh. It's a quick idea. It's an original idea from your head. And it's the purest way of doing it, of operating your own film. I mean, it's a very pure art form, if you can call it that.
Yeah, and people have done it before me.
I know.
But you are operating some of it also.
Yeah, well, you know, I try. It gets easier as you go through the first and second week. I know, and I understand more and more about.
But what was interesting when we shot the things that you when you operated the camera, then they saw that I was kind of not supposed to be there.
Having a day off. What
No. But they didn't like me to be there somewhere else.
I know. I remember that there were a couple of situations where they said you can't sit there. You're in my eye line, and you never have that.
But one thing is the eye line, but just the whole feeling that somebody was watching, not through the camera,
but that's
was kind of felt. It was like kind of felt wrong.
Yeah, but it actually annoyed me, that remark, because that was a situation where you needed me to operate, and you needed to be there, obviously as close as you could be, and it was like a slightly incorrect timing remark. I remember that. I remember it clearly.
Themselves in the mirror and know that they had done what they could. Indeed, and perhaps more than most people would have done. So
So here we have seen the changes between the black and white background, and of course it intensifies the mood that we have these two possibilities.
Yeah. I mean, the black is more. It's more intimate somehow.
Yeah, and it has this evening feeling,
Peace.
and the white also looks much better actually. I think there are some great shots on white.
On the white, yeah. I mean, I was very worried when we were shooting it, and I think, oh God, what's this going to look like? And I do remember you saying, well, if you, to enjoy the blackness, you've got to have the white. You've got to have the opposite, and it will have an effect, which is good, and it does.
This is not Ben Gazzara sitting there. I
No,
remember.
it's standing. So doubles for everybody.
Yeah, we had body doubles for everybody, so that when they were in the very far background, we didn't need them there.
All the shots from above are basically, apart from the odd shot with Nicole, they had doubles on there.
Like the fact that nobody leaves town. Used to leave, go vote, but since they put in the registration fee.
Yeah.
But I think that when you know it's easy to see that this is taken from a lot of different shots.
Yeah. It's
And that's part of the plan, actually.
lots of material. Would never have been able to shoot this on film, even if you wanted to. You would never have been able to.
All I see is a beautiful little town in the midst of magnificent.
Yeah, so the next one we're going to do without Nick.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
And that's confirmed. That's just
that is confirmed, since it's not possible for me to do it when she can do it,
calendars don't meet
and
sometimes.
vice versa.
Ships that pass in the night.
Yeah.
So does that mean that James Caan will also?
Yeah, that's the idea. The idea is to have a new father and a new daughter for all three films, which is a pity, and hopefully we can get something out of it. But yeah, that's how it is.
It'll lead to some kind of logical development, which might be quite good.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah,
It's quite a task to come as an actress to come after Nick's performance. It's quite a big. It's a fantastic acting challenge. I mean,
yeah. Well, it will have to be different anyway.
yeah, but there are significant changes to the whole colour palette of Mandalay, the second one.
Yeah.
Things are different anyway.
They're keeping an eye on you. And if you love them already, they might need a little persuading.
Yeah, it's in the beginning of a film you define the rules and you define
And the first 2 minutes.
how you're gonna how you should read it.
And how long do you think it takes to get the audience to settle in? 2 minutes?
How long does it take you to get an audience to leave the cinema?
I think. Surely about the first 5 minutes you establish.
Yes, the first 5 minutes people will usually stay in a cinema because they have paid some money.
Financiers.
Yeah. So they will stay 5 minutes and just give it a chance.
Yeah.
But then after 5 minutes, then you have to do something.
To keep them alive.
Yeah, to try to keep them there. This is the scene where Paul was extremely mad at me, I remember.
He got very angry. He literally scoffed at you.
I remember that. He was really, really pissed off. Yeah, it's dangerous, to work with actors.
Well, look, I've never experienced. I haven't got a particularly vast experience, but I've never ever experienced director behaviour anywhere on the same planet as your kind of behaviour. The way you kind of break down barriers and sort of joke and tease, and you're naughty and you're rude and you're sarcastic and you're funny and likeable at the same time. You do things and say things to actors that I've never, ever, ever. I'm sure different directors have different methods, but I mean, shaky actors could be horrified by the way you behave.
Okay,
Which is interesting.
I'm maybe not aware of, but I'm just trying to survive.
Yeah,
that's
but
basically
it's
what I'm
interesting.
doing.
You break down barriers very quickly.
Well, I had, I think, a very good relationship to all the actors, and that's.
You think?
I think, yes, but I'm sure they were yelling at me behind my back, but.
After a few of the wild little
This is, of course, all improvisation and very charming, I think, all this.
things began
nobody knew
What was going on.
Yeah, nobody knew what was going on and why they had to. And then she put on the coat, you know, and they just had this pie, and it tasted very good. And you know, it was kind of, you know, the coziness of actors being together was
Yeah.
there, and
Not so structured. Pause.
no, and that I like very much.
Well, there's a lot of information going in. There's a lot of mental injection. I mean, there's a lot of information in this film, so it needs this. I think those pictures from above are good as well for that, for space.
Olivia didn't need anyone to help
Yeah,
her
and
to the toilet while
should we talk a little bit about the camera angle, the above angle, not the straight above, but what do you
The
call
angle, the round the clock angles. Yeah, they were like the vertical angle. We can talk about later. The angles from the crane. Systematically, every now and then we pop out into crane angles from the side and look down at kind of 45-degree angle. That was a. You had a theory about clocks at one time, at times of day. Do you remember that? You've forgotten that as well. Haven't you?
I forgot.
Well, you had that. Peter Yord, of course, as special effects supervisor, he had a massive theory as well. But I remember when we met up to shoot, we had a kind of grid, a plan about where we would put the camera. We changed all that immediately on the first day of shooting, and
Yeah.
Anna's got a little bit peeved or confused. But we just changed it and just did it almost reasonably impossible.
But the reason why because in the first idea was not to go there.
That's right.
The first idea was to have either, you know, down on the floor
ground.
or from above.
Far above. Yeah.
But then, as we were looking at the model, because we had a model, of course, of the stage,
And although Lizzie's
then the interesting angle to be in was this in between, or then when you're looking down at something that looked like a dollhouse or whatever.
That's right. Yeah.
closet with its many
But there were. We did. I distinctly remember Annis, the first AD, feeling it was wrong. Even as we went into editing, I remember him saying to me, "Oh, I think we have to keep those half-angle shots out because it's." He had a very purist attitude about it, which is fair enough.
Yeah,
But
but
I-
that was my feeling also. But I think that
I think it gives space. Lars. I think it gives time and space for people just
yeah,
to
but also the
absorb.
feeling of everything. You know how it's connected.
Yeah, and you've got basically a 3-hour at the moment. This version's a 3-hour, almost 3 hours.
Oh, really?
I know
That's-
you think it's
that's
too
what
short.
they
I know
say.
you think it's a bit short, but you have to have some space.
Some intellectual thing.
A little close up there.
Some intellectual provinces with it. Anyway, the point is.
But you, I think people should know also that I had, of course, somebody screaming in my ear.
Yeah, who was that?
Yeah.
Who's that? That was me.
Lars, I don't know if what you feel about it, but I think that there should be more shots of blah blah blah,
Yeah,
and then there would be absolutely no more.
I know.
That would be the
Was
end
that,
of it.
was that basically the kind of working relationship you have with me? Is that what you think?
I think so.
I
And
thought
with
you-
the actors, maybe. I think that
Were they giving you pressure about close-ups and stuff like that? Were you
no,
getting-
because they very early they found out that nobody knew
didn't run the shot.
what was going on. They had no idea who was being filmed when and how much and stuff. It was really
I do remember Lauren Bacall walking
Oh,
on
yeah.
stage and saying, "What about the exteriors?"
like a
Which I thought was quite amusing.
But you also said, which part of my back would
Yes.
you like to film today?
Which part of my back do you want to see this morning, Lars? That's what I remember that very clearly.
fine sensation of must.
But you and I, we had a deal. I mean, if I recollect,
did-
like,
we
you
did.
told me to talk to you, and there were different grades, there are different degrees of trash and roughness, and I was to look at that and to watch your back and talk about it, at least talk about it without censorship. And that's what we did, basically. But I didn't shout at you, and then you
No,
shouted
no,
at
no,
me.
no. It was good.
Olympia, Diana, Athena,
You had a very
But
good career.
basically, when you are standing with the camera on your shoulder in this situation, you are very much alone. You are
Don't tell me. Yeah.
you are
Yeah,
so
that's right.
alone, like you're on the South Pole or something.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, since you are also claiming that you are close to the actors and all that, you are kind of
On your own planet.
an alien.
Yeah, you float, you disappear if you can.
both sorrow and enjoy.
But in the end, did I have there's a focus puller.
You had Klaus, the focus puller, the best focus puller in the country,
He,
beyond a doubt.
and
you had him on the ground. You had him on the.
He was there, but the idea was that he shouldn't be. And then
Well, I know we had this little discussion the day before shooting, where you had this vision, which is fair enough, of being completely on your own on stage, which is incredible. But the trouble, one of the inherent problems about high definition video, which is what we're shooting on here, is you cannot pull focus from a monitor because you can't see it. And even though you like the odd picture being in and out of focus, Klaus felt he couldn't even give you that. He couldn't even control that kind of quality for you. So the only way he could do it was by being on the stage, and he really wouldn't say that if he didn't mean it. So we got Klaus on the stage pulling focus with you, and Anis was there occasionally, and I was very rarely there.
We didn't boom anything.
No, that was all transmitted.
Yeah.
And they were all mic'd up.
Yeah. Which was also, of course, gave some problems, but not very much.
Wow, I think you get away with it, personally.
Yeah.
It's a controlled environment, but well, you have to ask your sound. What do they think? Were they happy in the post?
Well, it's just a matter of getting used to the sound. It's a special sound it gives, but Pierre was very good that
He's
way.
flexible, isn't he?
Yeah. That.
I mean, I think for him as well, surely.
Yeah, it's great that he's out of focus. That's good.
Yeah, well, you get a bit of out of focus.
Yeah, but not enough.
You really think that not enough? You want more? You can just, if you really wanted that, I could have just defocused that in the post for you and say,
no, but
that's
artificial.
Well, out of focus is artificial.
No. Not if you are just a poor focus puller.
Well, in that case, you're right. But the thing is, what you're talking about is not employing the best bloody focus puller in Scandinavia and then asking him to pull out of focus. What you've got to do is you've got to employ the worst focus puller in the world.
But you didn't want that.
No, you're right. But that's what we should. Okay, so now I'm beginning to understand. I've learned something today, a year afterwards. That means, do you really mean that? You want...
No, but it's
you want to work.
No, but I just want him to go slower, to focus slower, right? Mm-hmm. Just give it a little...
Struggle a bit more.
Struggle a little, but just be a little slower, when you go from one side to the other. So you have this feeling of that he doesn't know what's happening.
We could give him some glasses that are slightly... we could work something out.
Yeah. No, but it's great when it's the out of focus stuff, but it shouldn't be too much. Just a tiny bit.
Yeah. But it's like documentary. You just practice the same things you love about documentary.
Here was a little, what do you call it, infall?
Yeah, flare. You like flare?
Yeah.
One of the 7 great aberrations of, lovely. You like the flare? Well, there's certainly give you plenty more of that if you want with the 1,000 lights.
Yeah, but you always say you'll give me more, but you never do.
Well, I don't know. Maybe there was some more. Maybe they've cut it out. Wasn't there quite a lot of it?
No.
Okay, well, I'll get you more next time.
Thank you. We're talking a lot about the images.
Let's talk about the acting now. This guy here.
This guy here I like very much.
One of your friends.
Yes.
Talk a bit about the characters.
Well, I would say that, the background action was managed by Anders Reifen, who was first AD. Because you can't, you can only give some very brief directions to what you want in the background. And then we were doing lots of different things.
So you basically control the improvisation or the changes up front and right in front of the camera.
Well, the normal way to do it was that we started with, we didn't have any
money
audition. We didn't have any money either. No, we didn't have any audition. What do you call it? Prøve? Rehearsals, for Christ's sake. We didn't start the day with a rehearsal. We were filming straight away. And that meant that the actors was kind of just giving, their idea of...
a bid. They came with a...
Yeah, that's where we started. And then that was, of course, very good for me to look at, and we actually use a lot from it. And from there on, I started to kind of change it, and sometimes to destroy it even.
But did you change it towards something you originally always knew you wanted, or is it towards something that develops?
Well,
naturally?
you always have a feeling of what you want from a character and how you want it to look, and how you want. But I not to be kind of caught by that. Then you afterwards I did something to destroy that also.
So how much? Just coming back to actors, how much time did you spend, like, in reading with the main characters before you started shooting? Did they have a great deal of preparation? Each character, did they have much time with you?
Couple of weeks. I don't remember actually.
I remember you coming up on stage as we got closer to starting to shoot. I mean, the last 2 or 3 days you were coming on stage with them.
Oh yeah, but the last I think 3 days they were kind of moving into the houses.
Yeah,
Remember that?
that's right. Getting to know their homes.
They were in costume and they were
That's
kind of
right.
moving in, and
That was
and
interesting.
we had a couple of hours where they were just walking around, being in character, talking to each other.
I never forget that when they came up for the first time, you suddenly started seeing these people on stage and walking around. It was quite magical, actually. It was.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
But I think they felt good. That's kind of I think as an actor you can move into kind of
An empty
a
space.
house that's only painted on the floor.
They seem to do okay.
They kind of collide.
Sky.
I remember thinking,
Sky, I love so much.
I think we've talked long enough about the way we remember seeing things. Don't you?
So this is Nicole moving into the breaking up the lies, becoming a bit of a provocateur.
Yeah.
there's not much to see around here. Wretched town.
Why don't we talk about the view?
Did you write this quickly? The script?
Very quickly.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? And did you write it in Danish or write it in
In
English?
Danish, no.
Okay, you write, so you still write in your own mother language.
Oh yes. That's all I can do. But then I ask the translator to kind of not to keep it a little bit Danish.
Yeah.
You know the
For accuracy.
yeah to kind of not to make it too American or that's but not even too British.
Okay.
So it is some kind of a language,
Of
it's
its
some
own.
kind of a mixture of it all.
Mm.
Would you mind if I opened them?
I may ask, like, this is a pretty big piece of work, obviously. When you actually physically, I understand when you physically write it, you can write very quickly and you write intensely for like days or a week at a time. But what sort of process do you have before then of collecting together a vision
Well,
of these
I
different
did.
characters? 'Cause it's quite
Well,
a big
it-
piece of work.
Yeah, well, it takes quite some time to kind of to schematically to
yeah.
kind of put the story together. And here it would say if you know that there's a change in her, that she blah 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 understands that she shouldn't, that there's a
Crosses
limit
line.
to how much you can change people's lives
Yeah.
and blah 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 blah.
You cross the
all
limits.
these- Yeah, that's little notes, and
But the dialogue and the actual physical activity isn't necessarily there. Then you just know what they have to do interactions with each other.
I know where they have to. I know where I've seen her starting and where it has to get to, and then it's very mathematical actually in how to get it there. That's
Yeah.
kind of very
Mathematical
te-
script writing.
yeah, technical. How to get them there, and then of course you are doing a good job when you can do it in kind of a smart way and
Yeah.
maybe funny or anyway descriptive.
Yeah.
4th of July,
Oh.
after all. Yes.
Talk about this. It's let's talk about the shots from above, Lars.
Yeah. Well,
Period.
we all the shots from above is storyboarded because they were kind of complicated since they were done with a lot of these little DV cams.
Yep. 13, I believe. It's 13 PD 150s.
That was moved around so you could cover the whole area.
Made in a grid and moved from one section to the other,
Yeah.
called fields.
And when you put these images together, of course, you get these strange perspectives. Because to put 100 cameras up there is not the same as having one.
That's right. And did you develop this on Dancer Is it a development
No,
from that? It's
no,
not. Okay.
no, had nothing to do with that. No. I think that was actually Thomas Gislason again when I was discussing this with,
Okay.
and
Well, it's certainly a distinct photographic element, which I have no credit for whatsoever. It's nothing to do with me. It's something that was there, and the idea was planted in your head. And Peter Yort, who did the post production.
yeah, well, I
was
like
very
this idea that
That's
it
very
that it didn't look perfect.
Yeah,
and, yeah, maybe you should have kept more of that. But anyway, it was not. You think it would have sold more tickets? I doubt it.
There's one thing I know about selling tickets, Lars.
That is
Commercial films, I know about selling tickets. I mean,
Yes,
you look at my
your other work.
Metzger. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. That's,
no, I don't know about that, but I'm not sure if it would have done. I think aesthetically, it's pretty interesting anyway.
yeah.
As far as because it was shot in one room, I think it's pretty interesting on a visual.
Pretty good analysis.
But all these shots from above has been storyboarded and has they are little transitions, it's called, and made in some as tracking shots and some as zooms and whatever.
That's right, and then overlaid together via quite complex computer.
Yeah, it's very
Time
complicated to
machining.
do it because some of the moving persons had to be shot on a chroma key
Yeah, on a
background
green floor.
and put in and whatever. That was very complicated. That was something I was not a part of. Thank
You were
God.
on the way home. You were
Yes.
basically looking forward to getting home to your family. And the last week of shooting after the main actors leave, principal shooting stops. We then spend a week with cranes, as you say, and with this grid of cameras, shooting the stand-ins and the doubles, walking around and imitating the action of the actors.
Yes.
It was about a week of shooting.
More complicated.
What are you trying to say?
No, I should get it clear in my head first. I mean,
Are you trying to say that
This is one of the scenes that we actually did in the test also, and where the test has had a remarkable effect on the real film, because this, the way that Caesar and Nikolai played it
Yeah, in the test.
in the test was very I liked very much, and the actors saw it also, and for a strange reason it looks very much like
it does. It does.
Um,
That's interesting. Two very, very different people from very different cultures.
yes.
Do you not have that slight feeling the same in the car, even though with Annis and the whoever was playing in the car as well? There's the same feeling in that. It's a very short part of the test, but into the car when they're burning the village.
Yeah, it's normally I don't like doing these tests because they always take something away from the scene when you do it. Then
The
when
magic.
you do it, yeah, and I remember we did the same with Breaking the Waves. Actually, there was one scene we had done with some other actors. Just
Which scene was that?
that was the scene that later on went
You
out,
cut out.
was cut out of the film.
Because of
That was a scene where Bess was we find out that she cannot read.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Well-
this is something. This sells tickets. Nice.
Yeah. America.
Do you want to talk about the?
The anti-American side of the film.
Do you want to? What do you want to talk about? Yeah, that, or talk about also how you sense it's being accepted or reacted towards in America. Are you getting? Any
I have no idea since this has not been shown in
No, okay.
America. We've only had some reactions from some
distributors.
but some journalists in Cannes that saw it and some critics, and some of course are negative, but not I don't think in a not very much. Of course some are
Well,
directly against it, but they've always been. They would have been against anything I've
Yeah.
made. So I don't think that it's to me it's an American film. It shows America, and I know that these people and this story could be anywhere in the
yeah, it
world.
could be universal.
Yeah. But to me, this is my knowledge from, which is a good knowledge that is from Steinbeck or whatever
Yeah.
and films, good films that I've seen. these.
Have you read a lot about America? Have you read, have you
No,
read
I
Kafka?
wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. But as you know, you get a lot of influence.
Yeah, it's all coming. Yeah, it's coming through your ears
Yeah.
every day.
We are proud to have you among us. And
But I mean, the behaviour between people is. It could be anywhere.
Oh, anywhere.
I mean,
Yeah, it's actually, as I see it now, very European.
That's quite interesting about your next one because that has certain the whole ideas about slavery and the plots of slavery. That's more specific.
That is of course going to be different because.
As well, Jeremy.
Jeremy
interesting
is
actor,
an
isn't he?
interesting actor because he's very, very good but extremely slow. You know, if you
no idea of pace, has he?
he's kind of whenever he has to give an information, it takes very, very, very long for
All
it to get
sorts
out.
of hums and ha's and burps and little thoughts, and it's very interesting.
Yeah,
Very
but
technique.
I, as you know, wanted to cast him in Dear Wendy, but since I'm not doing it.
You would do that if you were doing it. You would.
Oh yeah, that was the
Yeah.
idea. It's
I had a little-
written for him more or less.
I spoke to Thomas about that.
Yeah. I know
It
Thomas
was
doesn't want that, but
very
that's he has to have his own
Yeah.
idea. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. John Goodman would be really good in Dear Wendy. It's hard to know.
Yeah, let's see what actors we can get. I'm sure we will get some that we like, and that we will get something out of it. I will.
So where does a guy like this come from? Look at this Marshall coming up here.
Yeah, and
how do you
here
create
we-
a guy like that? Where does he come from? This guy.
Marshall.
Who is he? Tell me.
He's from. Isn't he from Breaking? No. He's from Dance in the Dark, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you could see there was a little shot of her in the mine.
Yep.
And that was, we have these light changes
Ah, yes.
all over,
I love him.
and they are mentioned also now. Suddenly there was a change of light over.
Yes, I'm not quite. I think I was probably. You see, I'm sitting up in the cave, basically. This cave, which we refer to, which is both a prop and it's my office. I'm sitting there with Orza, the lighting designer, and there's a big dimmer board next to us with her operator on, and basically I had to make a comment to Orza. Orza had to transport that comment from her left ear to her right hand and go across to this gentleman on the right of her and then make it move. So things were delayed and it took time, and sometimes we hit the wrong button anyway.
Sometimes it was
It's,
so delayed that.
Yeah, I might as well have given up. I might as well not have done it. Might have come back tomorrow morning and do it again.
Yeah. So the delay is the
Delays and
secret.
creative force. Yeah. Last, this assault of acting competence. All these great actors in one stage, one time. How do you get these people? How did you get them?
Yeah, don't ask me. They
Ask Vibeke.
Well, they wanted to be there, and that's all I can say because we didn't pay them very much as we couldn't.
And they all reacted positively to that. I mean, some obviously walk away, but
Yeah.
what do you think is a common? Is it? Do you think it's initially the story that they showed or they read, or is it also obviously it's a combination of what you've done before and them coming to you and working with
Don't
you?
ask me. Don't ask me. But it's very nice. That they want to do it. I must say I have big respect for Nix. That she really, she was a driving force behind this
Yeah.
film. She really was.
But Nicole is an actress who's worked with she's worked with the mainstreamers and the highly commercial, massive studio productions, as you know. But she's also worked with Gus Van Sant, your great friend.
Oh yeah,
Gus
Gus
Van
Van
Sant.
Sant that stole, the golden palm.
Well,
Yeah,
to be great.
well.
But she has done that kind of. She understands
Have
her mind.
you talked to him?
I have spoken to you. We're not meant to be talking. We're not meant to be talking about that now, are we?
Oh yes.
Yeah,
He's
I
your
got it.
friend also.
Yeah, he's a good friend. He's very happy. Sends his best.
Okay. Well.
Ask
don't
me if you-
don't
ask me
send
if you,
anything
ask
back.
me if you got back safely from Cannes. But she obviously has experience with all sorts of productions. Lauren Bacall, one would dare to say she's rather more mainstream. I don't think she's done too many underground renegade 16mm, Reservoir Dogs 2 kind of thing. She hasn't done that kind of thing, has she?
No.
Slacker, you know, obviously you've got your faithfuls, you've got Jean-Marc Barr. Talk to me about those, the people you can pull on as well, because they work with you every time, aren't they?
Yeah, they're just very nice people and friends, and it would be nice that, you know, in the end you only work with that it's everybody are your friends.
Well, some directors have done that.
Yeah, I can understand why.
How much fun you think it would be? I'm not gonna spank you, Jason.
Yeah, this is a very interesting scene.
Oh, that guy's so provocative.
Yeah, he is.
He plays so well. He's so annoying. He does it so well.
I reckon Ma'll take my word for it. If you give me that spanking, nobody's ever have to know.
Oh my God.
But she's doing it good also.
Where does this come from, Lars, this scene?
Yeah, that's good.
Come on, you can talk to me about this.
I gave his crib a shove. Not my fault it didn't tip over.
Don't you touch him.
Why is that boy so manipulative? What's he want?
What does he want?
What does he want? What's he missing out on? What is it? What generates that character for you?
Difficult to say.
And that. And we're loving this, everybody. We're all loving this moment.
Yeah, it's a
Any honest
fantastic.
person, it's,
Yeah.
people almost get up and clap.
Harder!
Go on.
Harder.
Yeah,
Oh, this is... Come on.
it's fantastic, dude.
That's enough.
It's a very strange thing. It's funny.
Hilarious. I love the way she shouts that.
Yeah.
Suddenly there's a real sentiment.
Yeah, there's really a change there. Here, there's power, and then music,
Yeah,
and he comes.
yeah. Here he
Just as
comes.
Dogville had done from its open,
It's
frail
very, and it's no, but it's somehow this scene kind of is the turning point.
Oh, you sense something's going to go very wrong here.
Yeah, and
there she dangled from
the kid is the first to manipulate her.
Yeah.
right? And then everybody does it in the
so
end.
swollen that the juices almost ran.
This again, going back to the test, you did mention when we were talking about the test, this is, I suppose, the ultimate example of the whole concept of having a stage and houses with no walls, so you're living so close up together to each other in normal societies, but you don't look what goes on the other side of the wood. I mean, the rape scene that we're to see shortly, you know, it's just happening on it's just 3 centimeters of wood between you and the neighbour, but if it's not what the eye doesn't see, the mind doesn't worry about.
Anything related to that wanted poster. They asked me if I'd seen any signs in the woods of anyone camping.
How does Stellan feel about this scene? Was he okay?
Yeah, I think I haven't talked to him about it, but I think he's doing well.
I think
I like this film. What can I say? I like it, but maybe I don't like it in a year or two.
Do you like most of your films?
It depends. It depends. This somehow I find is my most personal film.
Interesting. It's the most personal, very quickly made, really. Very quickly written. Very quickly shot. I don't think it was quickly edited. But
No, it took a long time to edit.
quickly up in the cinemas. That's thing, right?
10 minutes, maybe 15, before they start knocking.
But these stories are coming quickly. You've already written the second part of the trilogy, and you probably, I don't know, but you probably know what you want to do with the third part. It is quick at the moment, isn't it? You're in gear. You're in some kind of gear.
I was, yeah. Let's see. But that's also the stupid thing about, waiting for a long time, because we wanted this to work with Nick, right? And we really tried. And we waited and waited and waited, which is stupid, because then the energy goes out of it. It has nothing to do with her, of course. She has to do what she has to do, but it kind of it suffocates you, in your creative process.
So you would, what you're saying is you would perhaps like to be soon shooting Mandalay?
Mandalay should have been shot already.
Around about now. Well, you only finished writing it really, in July,
Well, it could have been
Summer.
done earlier. That was
Really
because
amazing.
we knew about Nick's schedule. So no,
Okay.
it should have been shot now.
That's a shame.
It is a shame, but let's see what comes out of it.
Yeah.
Because that's a good thing. You never know what could have been.
Yeah.
Please don't. Please. Please look at me. Look at me. Don't.
Here she's kind of lying with her head through the wall,
Yeah.
And Stellan loves to be naked.
Yeah, does he really? He's a bit like you.
Yeah, he's a bit like me that way. That is because he's
I like that.
he's less naked when he's naked. He's
Yeah.
like me.
The more layers, the more naked for me.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's the whole story in a nutshell. Henson talking about his glasses.
Yes, and I
Jeremy
remember
trying to work
remember
out.
Blair saying afterwards, when she was looking, she was sitting knitting or whatever.
Blair's playing Mrs. Henson, who was adjacent to the house.
Yeah, she was kind of knitting and saying, "Well, I didn't quite expect that."
Is that what she said?
Yeah, after seeing
Really?
his bollocks. Is that what it is?
Bottom more than bollocks, but it was yeah.
Yeah, but everything was
Yeah, it was
visible,
visible,
and
it was all
she was
Yeah.
watching. No,
Yeah.
she was
She was trying to concentrate on the knitting.
concentrate on knitting. My God.
Well,
yes.
it's a catalyst, isn't it? It sets them all off on the wrong track. It brings out the evil in them. It's a pretty,
Brings out the evil in actors.
pretty evil town. It becomes such an evil place, Lars. Is evil the wrong word?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Cruelty, what is it? I mean, they do become so cruel. What's she
but
done?
He's the real bad guy, you know.
This shot is really, really, really...
Yet again.
Yeah, this is
Grace
also a
Peter.
storyboard of
Yeah, it's just...
and
I just pressed the button, it's just too lovely.
Everyone had come
Again,
And,
I think, in
including
retrospect,
Chuck,
slightly more uneven would have
who
been
had to
beautiful.
admit
Whatever.
that it was probably Tom's hand as
I would say something about the way Nick is doing it is that she has a remarkable pantomime quality. Is that what you call it?
In her body language as well.
Yeah, her body language is really
like an
very,
animal.
very clear sometimes. You know, the way that you can see how she's kind of now she's in a hurry, you know, and now she's in doubt, and now the double takes, all that is
It's
yeah.
a mixture of something almost childish, innocent, something animal-like, and something almost like a dancer as well. She also is a dancer. I don't know, it's a mixture of all sorts
Is
of
she a
things.
dancer?
Yeah, she dances a little bit. This is why this is a point in the film where when she makes a decision and she leaves, the film doesn't stop for me at all. It just runs really fast. But I've had a little moment before this where I've got slightly restless. Actually, it's the only time in the film.
Okay.
There you go.
This is also very interesting because I was a little mean, and I asked Cleo to actually hit her with this thing she had in her hand.
Really?
And Nick was not, didn't know this was happening.
Was she upset?
No. I'm sure she liked.
She's used to being here.
I don't think so, but she always used, little stuff like this in the way, she acted. So no, I'm sure she liked it.
Right and the wrong time to plant seeds. You can't plant seeds in the winter.
That's true. But I love you.
And this was a scene that we had to take again. Remember?
Yeah, I do indeed.
This is a scene that included the line, "We will meet again in love and in freedom,"
Yeah.
which everybody claimed could not be said.
Rubbish.
And then but then I went for a long walk, and I kept on repeating it, and I kind of found out that it could be said. So we tried in different ways, and I think it's quite funny that they actually agree that they shouldn't make love, even though that is not his.
I
how
can't
he really
quite
feels.
ascertain how much of an agreement it is from his part.
No,
I feel he does rather struggle.
he struggles. Yeah, but it's kind of funny. Well,
It's good for you. Yeah, struggling is good. That's what Camus said.
yeah.
To struggle.
The yearning only makes it better.
Yeah. As long as you get it in the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, especially maybe when you don't. And Chloe is mean, of course.
Yeah, she becomes mean, doesn't yeah, from moving from the innocence of being the prettiest girl in town. She's good at playing mean.
Yes. And Siobhan is
Such a lovely lady, Siobhan.
very, very funny.
One of the funniest people I've ever met.
Yeah, this is kind of a classic scene where everybody suddenly wants something from her because she wants to be on her own. And this has been the same in all the films I've done. There's always been a scene where one of the main characters wants to avoid other people, and suddenly they kind of come up all around.
Yeah, and confusion in heart. Yeah,
There was actually quite a bit of work done.
but it's just to secure her need to get away. Yeah. Has she made the mind up to leave yet? Not yet. No.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she has.
Now he wants the money up front. And here comes the exceptional shot of the film. The shot from above.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Well, it was not meant to be. It was actually made out of necessity. Is
Really?
the word. Yeah, because we had to get her out of town, but we don't want we don't want a new setting that is out of town. So the only way we can shoot it is this, and now she can kind of go on, driving to wherever we want her.
But this shot is absolutely. It's an example of something beautiful coming out of a coincidence, maybe, but it is really, really beautiful.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, well, all this with the apples is of course stolen from other directors,
Yeah.
but. Yeah, for some strange reason, it became very, and we did it very fast.
Mm. Yeah,
I think we did three takes or
That's
four
right,
takes or
that's
something
done,
like that, and
But it's very
it
beautiful.
it looked very good.
It made me want to make a whole film on double, and I always will want to until I get it done. But I'd love to make a double layer film.
Mm-hmm.
I think you touch on a painting aesthetic here, which is not something I generally think is something I associate with cinema today. I think it's so rare. You kind of move the surface of the image into something like that. I think it's very rare it happens. And I think the new stocks, new film stocks, and the high definition video, and all the brilliance and sharpness of new material is just going completely in the opposite direction to painting.
But I remember that there were examples of films shot, and with some texture, double exposed
That's
into
right.
it.
Yeah.
Who was that? There was something. Oh, back from film school. There was some films that were flashed, isn't that
Yeah,
what it's called?
what you call forexposing. It's
Yeah.
pre-flashing. I mean, that basically lifts the gamma, the sensitivity curve.
Yeah,
and
but this was
keep
flashed with some structure.
something else.
Also.
Yeah, so you actually get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried that and it didn't work. I just felt a bit nervous about doing it,
But as you can see, this double exposure is taken down when he comes in.
yeah,
So we actually now look more through this.
Yeah.
What is it called? Presenting.
that's right. It's a tarpaulin.
Yeah.
But what I think is interesting is in these days you've made a film that has its origins in digital, which is a tremendous present as far as effects are concerned, because you do have access to many, many tools which you didn't always have in film. And having achieved this amazing modern world of digital technology, films, certainly digital films, are still very timid in their exploration of what you can do. You can layer and multi-layer. And who's saying that pictures have to be so conventional in their
No.
aesthetic? They are still
That's
very,
for
very
sure. That there's some possibilities there.
enormous possibilities. Instead of having little discussions about whether a film should be scope or semi-scope or whatever, but there's so much more that can be done. And this is an example of that for me.
But they're doing extremely well. Both of them.
These
I
two,
think. Yes.
they're having fun, yeah.
They're having fun. It's just, adult people having fun.
Yeah, getting on the road again.
Well,
He's worked it all out, hasn't he?
yeah.
But let's talk about this now. Something I wanted to ask you about, not necessarily about aesthetics, but like visual language. I mean, you are, if you look at your track record, without getting too boring and film historian about it, but you've made many, many very different different kinds of films, and they are certainly, you can go back to films like even The Kingdom, which was essentially for television, was very, very visual in its language. You also had experiments with crossing a line and messing around with rules and regulations as far as filmmaking is concerned. It's very visual. The aesthetics of Europa, going further back, very visual. Your early films, your graduation films, really strong visual pieces. And what do you think is happening to you as a kind of cinema, as a filmmaker now, as far as your balance, the balance between relating to actors and what is said, the spoken word, and the mise-en-scène, the whole visual language of a film? It's a big question, but there is a curve in your work at the moment. I wouldn't say these films are non-visual by any means, otherwise I wouldn't want to do them, but you're changing.
I dislike doing things I've done before. I think there's something as a perfect tracking shot. I'm not saying that I've done it, but it's not satisfying to do a less perfect tracking shot after you've done one. It's also at a certain point in your life, then you are very much into tracking shots, and we tried a lot of different things with tracking shots. Yes, and we had a lot of rules to them also and stuff. And then you
even when you were seemingly exploring any corner of a set.
We had a lot of rules to when we should use it and how we should use it and stuff. But then you finish this.
You peak.
Yeah, and then you don't. I think I would puke if I made a tracking shot.
Well, it's interesting you said it. I mean, I'm hearing that a bit from Thomas at the moment, Winterberg as well. It's interesting, but when I look at this is a kind of track. This is kind of a crane. It's a track. It's just something that we do in post. You do in post. It seems as though your visual language explorations at the moment are moving more into not, I won't say a world of computers, but they're moving into what you can do either afterwards or plan, and not necessarily doing shooting.
Maybe that's a part of it. I haven't thought of that, but anyway, it's all the movements that we have here are very, very simple, and they're kind of in one dimension, right? It's kind of. I'm trying to make it very clean.
Yeah. But if you'd made this film, this Dogville film, at the length that it is, whether it be it on celluloid or obviously it'd be more expensive, whether it was on celluloid or HD, if you'd made this film in a conventional manner, like with a conventional set and a naturalistic size, using different locations and moving the camera in a different way, it would have been such a massive film to make, wouldn't it? It would be like on a level with, Gone with the Wind. I mean, okay, it's only one location, but sets are moving.
It is only one. It's a small town. Yeah, but still, I don't. When I had the idea, there was a lamp that we never got rid of.
Nah, leave it.
Some of the reflections we took out in the computer afterwards. No, I'm saying that when this concept came up, then I was sure it was going to be very easy. But somehow, it's a small town. It's 7 houses. Now we're building something that's much bigger for Dear Wendy that Thomas is going to do. It's a small. We could have built it in the hills in Sweden, and we could have filmed it. No, it's not because it's easier this way. It's different. It's and I'm not in doubt that this is how it should look.
Yeah, so in other words, it's not a question of, I'm not suggesting it is economy or practical, you feel you are moving on in some way or other aesthetically as well. You're developing your own visual language. I'm kind of trying to find the essence somehow.
Okay. But the essence of characters and of stories and of storytelling is not the same as the essence of image, right?
No.
And this was something that Nick really was not feeling very good about. This.
She felt
trapped.
Yeah, she did. Quite right to say. It wasn't very comfortable.
No,
He was an attacker for freedom. And Jeremy's very proud here, isn't he?
he's very good. He has, you know, he says his lines so he uses so little voice that it's non-recordable.
It's almost impossible to understand what he says.
But
He's shy and embarrassed, and at the same time achieved something for once in the village.
yeah, he's achieved something in his career.
Interesting continuity of bouncing back and forth, and he was over on the right, and there he's back again there on the left.
Stuff like that. You notice.
Well, of course I do, but it's my job. But nobody notices it, really, do they? There's a scene with Nicole where she takes her coat on and off about 4 or 5 times. Nobody even notices that.
No.
Or maybe they do.
Well, that's the charm of the whole thing.
Yeah.
No, but this about wearing this thing was she didn't like. But then again, that's kind of part of the job not to like it.
Yeah.
It's not part of the job to suffer, but it's part of the job not to like it.
Okay, chapter 8. Yeah. Just trying to talk about the film. I was interested. I want to know about the visual side because it's just it's an interesting way of going.
Here's an example of the way we are cutting or editing the film. There's a little scene here in a little while where she kind of hits the mattress with her hand, right, with her fist.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really fit, and it's a time cut, and it's an emotional cut, but it's something you would normally have cut out because it's from a different scene, so from a different take. But you can see it anyway. That's kind of a good example of that's kind of little things I like. He says something, I don't remember what. Yeah, she can't answer anyway. I'm trying to help you. Yes. As you can see, it's kind of just a little reaction to it, and then we go on.
Never thought about it, but it is in fact for another scene.
And no, it's not another scene.
Out of continuity. It's out of continuity.
Completely out of it. It's from another take.
Yeah.
But I thought it was good. She had a good face there, and a good, and it gave something to her character, because then she's not only the kind of suffering, but she also shows that she has some. This monitor is terrible.
Yeah, it's a kind of very colourful old image. It's also unforeseeable. I mean, every film seems to develop its own language. As we were talking about earlier, for 2 to 5 minutes of a film, you begin to sense what kind of language a film has. This has indeed, in its own world, it's just, you're in a limited space, and of course, when you see it for the first time, you don't know whether you're ever going to get out of it. Like, I think Houston's the Dead. You do come out of that set at the end of the film, but we don't do here.
No.
But
that was a good film.
It was a good film, yeah. But this somehow, for me, if I can state it in a neutral way, I mean, it doesn't seem foreseeable. You don't really know where you're going. I mean, one doesn't know where the film is going to end up, which I enjoy. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that comes with not forcing yourself to use the same cinematic language every time you make a film. Oh, I remember these. I remember you shouting at me when I remember operating this, and you shouting at me.
Really, I was shouting?
Well, you weren't shouting. You were just talking affirmatively, shaking it a bit more. And this one I remember doing as well. Do you remember me standing on a platform and trying to walk backwards and falling over?
Stuff like that, yes.
I love that stuff. That actually. The glorious picture of manhood, yeah.
A hillbilly having his way with a cow.
The inevitable power of montage.
Yeah.
He says,
having his way with a
Good
cow,
night.
is that an expression that really...
I haven't heard it.
No.
I guess maybe it does happen, I don't know. Out in the sticks.
When it has been tangled in its own web by the wind.
Like the leaves, laugh. A little bit of organic. A little bit of autumn.
Yeah, very little, because, that's another decision you have to make. How many leaves do you want there,
Yeah.
Because it's not realism. Just a tiny bit, like in a theatre play, just to mark.
Insinuating.
Some of the storytelling is quite weak, not from the actors, from script.
From the script.
Well, I'm not proud of all of it, but well, it has to move on. The only thing that you miss in that scene is kind of this little electric bulb, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I got an idea. That's
Ding!
ding.
A flash.
Tom gets an idea.
It wasn't easy. Yeah, we did quite a lot of scenes in that corner there, wasn't it? It was quite difficult.
Yeah,
actually.
it was.
awkward
Yeah,
fights.
because the whole thing was elevated.
Yeah.
It was difficult to not to shoot a lot of lamps or to get close.
This web of misunderstanding and injustice is only one true fiction.
It's also you chose this rig, this body rig, to help
Oh yeah, that was difficult.
alleviate some of the pressure
yeah.
of the camera. It is actually a very heavy camera, isn't it? And it's quite a heavy working method. I mean, you had it on your shoulder sometimes for, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. In a kind of awkward position, bending.
Oh yeah, but I'm not the one to complain, about these things.
Well, it's good for you
As
to
long,
suffer.
as long as you are happy.
It's good to suffer when
Yes.
you're working a film, making a film. Hvor er civilisationen hen? Hvor er det hen?
Yeah, really. Well, the whole plan about this was, of course, that everybody was, together all the time. We slept in the same hotel, and we had our meals together and stuff. But it was, a little hard also.
I read about that more than thought about it. I read about it in the book afterwards, this diary that Kirsten has written about the film. And I saw it as quite a point, quite an emphasised point. Oh, the actors and the crew kind of live together. I never thought about this. Was it a thought? I've never thought about it. I mean, I'm not used to being that isolated from them anyway. I suppose we did stay in the same area.
Yeah, but I'm not. I don't know how professional films are shot, but isn't it quite remarkable that everybody is? Wouldn't you be normally in different locations?
I suppose a little bit, and I suppose the actors tend to hide a bit from themselves. But I mean, that was nice. I like the evenings, just resting and talking informally and
Drinking.
Oh, of course, I wasn't going to say that. I must admit, I do find Trollhättan possibly one of the most depressing places on earth. And I don't know why, I just, once you're in the set and you're working, it doesn't matter, you might as well be anywhere. But I do find that area sad.
But that's also because
Seriously
you do not use the surroundings.
Perhaps so.
I spent a lot of time in the little woods.
Shooting.
No, I was not shooting.
Flashing,
yes. So there were some elks, coming by, and I was flashing. That's a tremendous thrill.
Flashing the moose.
Yes, that's also because it's laughing all the time because the moose is extremely well equipped, so they're really really laughing.
Well, I think there's something rather perverse about the nature of Trollhättan, just to say it briefly, because it's a beautiful area, idyllic area with hills and valleys, and there's all this water, and it gets dammed up and released every now and then it gets dammed up again, and there's all these strong currents, and then it gets released. I think that's a bit nutty. I think it'll affect. If people complain about turning their bed around in the wrong direction in the house, I know we shouldn't be talking about this now, but I think Trollhättan is incorrectly controlled in relation to nature.
Okay.
I think it affects the people. So that's what I think about Trollhättan.
Okay, interesting.
But the studio was cold and worked. It was big enough for us.
Yeah. But we'll probably be going there again, as you know.
Well, let's wait and see. Let's try and do our best to.
But it's here or Trollhättan?
Well, I like to be close to home, seeing as I spend so little time here. Like these people, close to home.
Yeah. This is actually quite nice with this little, these few effects that we use, the snow and
I love the snow.
The leaves on the apple tree. That's because it's so isolated. If there'd been a lot of nature shots, that then it wouldn't, of course,
It would become
come out
invisible.
this,
It would be overdone and become invisible.
So this is but it's obvious. What can I say that is not obvious? Now he's leaving. He's opening the door,
Yeah,
going through the door.
Clunk.
Yeah, it's kind of everybody opens the doors differently, as you know.
We do that in real life.
Yeah.
Look at that lovely snow.
Yeah.
Right up to my office at the end of See, that's a good example, I think, of the 45-degree angle. I don't know, I just do like that. It's a peaceful moment, and you see the area, you understand it, you understand he's leaving the group, and she's on her own. It's good. That would have been difficult to do in ground level. You'd have to cut around and point the camera.
Exactly.
It's very painterly, that Lars, actually.
Yeah.
Do you still talk about...
I'm sure it's something you shot.
Well, I may have been asleep at the time. I think I operated that one. Do you still have this theory about pointing the camera as opposed to framing it?
You want to talk about that?
I've never really heard you articulate it completely, so I understand it. But I try to understand it, so you haven't mentioned it to me.
No,
pointing.
but listen, if I...
I mean genuine. I'm asking you genuine. I'm not provoking you.
This is a framed shot, right? Very much so.
Yeah.
You did it,
Yeah.
probably, yeah. This is, maybe framed, but badly framed.
Yeah,
right?
it's more pointed.
I think, normally to frame is to kind of to remove yourself from the content.
As opposed to embodying it.
Yeah, you could say that.
I don't know, I can't work it out. I'm trying to understand. Removing yourself from the content.
Yeah, that's kind of, it's a verfremdung, as we talked about.
This is verfremdung.
It's a verfremdung, yeah. Yeah, because you don't want to look, where do you want to look in this picture? You want to look at them, then point at them. You're not pointing at them. You want to show the whole thing at the same time.
But I think I've never really...
It's about how you read it.
Yeah, I do understand, but I understand what you're saying. I'm just wondering, I think if I was capable of analysing what I do as an image maker when I frame, I think I do point. I think I know I want to point, and I look towards the area of focus I want to see, and then I relax, and the rest around it just becomes in a balance.
Yes, but it's this balance that I don't like.
I see. It's a balance you don't like.
But that's one thing. That's if you do. I believe that when I'm shooting, as I'm not a photographer, of course I know how to frame.
You're aware of
also.
images, yeah.
I can. But I'm trying not to frame. This is also framed, right? And this is of course framed. But when you work fast, then I think it has more life to it, because I'm looking through the camera. I'm not using the frame. I'm using it to see what I want to see, and that's her or him or something else going on, and I'm zooming in, blah, blah, blah. That's not framing. That's kind of just using the camera as a way to see things. And I think there's a philosophical difference between using the frame and, aiming at something. Aiming you do with the middle, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing you do with the frame. But the frame, when you frame something, that is to keep something out. That's what you do.
Well, either it is to keep something out, or it is to secure peacefully whatever you want in. I mean, I'm not being pretentious, but...
No, sure. But this peacefulness is something that is nice to look at, but always weakens the content. I think.
Okay.
But I am not a hairy guy like you.
I'm hairy, but I'm willing to learn. You could be hairy and willing to learn.
No, but it's just, you shouldn't. You don't have to
I'm
learn.
interested. No, but I can't unlearn what you do anyway. You do what you do. But I'm just interested, because whether you like it or not, you are visually quite a strong visualizer of images. And,
but I have ideas like that, and that does, when I'm lucky, that things looks a little bit different, and then that's also good to have films that look a little bit different.
Of course,
that's because you have crazy ideas like that. But to
me,
it makes sense. Right?
Yeah. But I'm not saying that is what I do
but I'm just saying that I wish I could do that,
Okay.
because then whenever I'm pointing at what I want to see, then I experience the feelings of the people in the frame
Yeah. Tangibility.
much stronger.
You feel the tangible.
Yeah, much stronger than whenever the camera moves a little to the right
Or
and
composes.
compose something. Then it's more superficial.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. I think that's
And
interesting.
this is, of course, a poetic picture, right?
Yeah.
And very beautiful and everything. And straight away,
That's my fault.
no. But it's great. It's great. But straight away, he becomes less important, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't have to do with the size. This is better because suddenly it's a little strange, in the composing. As soon as then a background fits right and stuff like that. Whenever this happens, it kind of, for me, puts a layer,
An extra
in
layer of
between.
reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like these pictures also.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying.
No, I'm trying to.
You're trying to understand.
No, I'm not. I understand. I'm just trying to make you say something about something which I've heard you talk about before, because I think it's interesting and it does make me think. And it does make me think as an image maker, of course. It's a kind of challenge. It's a kind of challenge to some basic concepts.
But can't you see if this church tower, was not really there, but a little more behind him or whatever?
You look at
then
him more.
much more, and the
agree.
church tower would still be there.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it should be disturbing, but it's just that when it's like when everything falls into its right place, then it kind of
loses its
strength somehow.
closeness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
That's why I actually like so much, the old format, this Academy
Oh, I
format,
love Academy.
because it's so difficult
Yeah.
scope is so easy to frame.
Yeah, in some ways it's dramatic. Yeah, it's a strong dramatic
Yeah,
statement.
and it's very easy to make something that's well balanced. Or the opposite can also be. It's easy to use it, to have ideas to use it for to frame somehow. And I like it so much when you can't see the idea.
Yeah.
And that's difficult, especially for pictures like this, because they always looks great, right?
Well, they're slightly different, these pictures, because that's one person really in an environment, and the geography is important like that, really. That's a tableau, but kind of a tabloid, but sometimes pictures are about the environment around them as well. Sound here.
Sound here.
Nice sound design, the way you bring in sound and distant sound.
Oh yeah, we
We haven't spoken about that, but it's lovely.
no, we haven't spoken about sound.
We have a bit, we spoke a bit about sound. If you want to say something about the whole sound design idea of bringing a very intimate, detailed concept sound in.
I can only say that it has not been so easy, because
Quite a few of which Grace would have preferred to remain.
just the construction of this pile driver was kind of
It's difficult.
very difficult, because
Thrown mud into her bed.
as you do not see it, then it has to define its the perspective, or the geography has to define the geography. A lot of the sounds here are defining the spaces, and we're working with delays or whatever on the sound to kind of to define the town.
Yeah.
And to define the surfaces. She's going from one surface to another. We have divided the town into two different surfaces. I think there's 10 different surfaces that you can. If you listen, you can hear that they move from one surface to the other. But that was not the idea. The idea was to kind of get a sound that was close to a realistic sound, and things will always happen. They walk, and suddenly you can't hear them, and afterwards, in a film, you would say, "Oh, let's put some additional sound on here because we can't hear, and it's very strange." Yeah, some additional footsteps, and this was here. We were actually trying to work with also some random. We took the level up and down to kind of to resemble a realistic sound that would have been, if it would have would have been recorded with a boom out in a real location. So we worked very much with that actually to kind of and the fact that there are a lot of things that strangely doesn't have a sound is something that underlines for me the realisticness of the whole thing.
Okay. Kind of paradox.
Yeah.
Dictum a factum. Tell me about what's that? You were very pleased. Maybe you were telling me to.
I was very pleased about that.
Yeah, I know you are.
It was when we made the scenography. Then I said, well, something should be written here because I don't know, in the cartoons or whatever, there's always something written on the entrance to something, and then I was looking in the dictionary and I found this out. It's Latin and and it means what I said I did.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And that refers to. You could say it refers to the film somehow. I'm not going to go into that, but it refers to a story about the man who made the mine once.
Yeah. And
that's a story that's never told. But it's the man who made the mine was a very late starter. He was sitting in a bar for many years and said, "One day I'm gonna dig a mine.
I'm gonna make my mine."
Yes, and everybody said, "Sure." And then very late in his life, he did.
I told you so.
And I like there in these few props and few sets.
The story.
Yeah, there's a little story that is not told. It's a little bit like the sound, that there's suddenly another surface or a level.
Tangent.
Yeah. It is a pity that Nick is not doing the second one. But come on, we'll show her. We'll show her that it can be done without her.
Yeah, it is a pity.
Yeah.
Well,
we'll show her.
She's friends.
Nick will do it. We'll do it.
She'll
do it
give us all
without you.
support.
It's no problem. Well, it will be a problem, but don't tell anybody.
It's pretty Bethany's well. Oh no, he's dead. It's something about the way he says "good news." Good news.
Yes, good news is very good. But he was really here in the end of the whole thing. I think he was very good. He became more and more
accurate.
Yes.
Yeah. These are the pretty montage pictures.
Yeah, there we had 2 sets of them.
I know. I did want to redo them. I do remember. I do remember you doing them one day, and I just felt
this is mine.
No. Yeah, this is mine.
Yeah.
And that's mine.
Yeah,
you couldn't do that.
This I did.
You couldn't do that. No.
This I did.
I'm doing that, and I'm imitating you because you could never do that gently enough. You'd wobble over. So I tried to do it, and I wobbled a bit just to keep.
Oh no! I'll go back into them. I'm sure we threw everything out that you did. This is actually quite interesting in kind of in a theater way that just to see a lot of people looking at something, and then straight away you get interested. It's like in the street when somebody stops and looks at something, everybody looks.
Yeah.
Right.
Staring up at space.
Yeah. And they're actually just looking at a white background.
Yeah. The enemy approaches. Yeah, it's interesting that light. And she has a hat on. Oh, that's so unpleasant, isn't it?
When an irritating feeling of wasting her time forced itself upon her.
Oh, she's had enough now.
This was a very difficult scene to edit. Somehow we didn't have the material and it's. Yeah, I was.
You were tired?
I was unprepared for this scene. I think when we did it, I don't know what happened. But it's okay. But it's not. We could have worked much more with that. But come on, we had 6 weeks. That was actually not a lot.
6 weeks. That's what I was trying to say earlier. I mean, given its length and its territory, visual territory. I mean, it's got a certain design that makes it minimalist, but given its length as a story, 6 weeks is extraordinary to shoot that.
Yeah, especially since the idea was that you should have some time with the actors, right?
Yeah.
So you could.
There are very few days you went over. I mean, you finished early some days.
Yeah, well, that's because I was tired and wanted to drink. I wanted a drink.
Yeah, you wanted a nuba?
A noob, yeah.
Otherwise, your preparation for scenes, Lars, is that like, I mean, apart from going to bed and trying to forget about the film every night and get some sleep, what kind of preparation? You know the story back to back because you've written it.
No, I didn't know no preparation whatsoever. No, I
just go in there.
You know, I know the story.
Yeah,
so,
cool.
but then no, the preparations are actually looking at the first attempt the actors do, and then knowing more and more about what they can and what they, what possibilities there are in this scene. No, that's otherwise it would be unbearable if everything was planned. Then it would be completely unbearable.
Stifle. Another obnoxious little tart. This little Jason.
He's
really does get the good jobs.
He's a brat.
Yeah. Does it very well, doesn't he?
Yes. I must say they're all doing well. I don't know why.
Must be something to do with the direction, I suppose.
I doubt it.
It could be coincidence, but it's quite extraordinary coincidence for every day for 6 weeks. Some scenes are better.
Well, I can. There's some scenes that I'm not proud of.
Starting one after the other from the direction of the edge of the woods, things had moved.
I also think they had fun. I mean, the general consensus of opinion was on that stage was, well, I've never done anything like this before, and I think that is in itself a very strong ingredient to some kind of energy for a film. You know, it's a good starting point for everyone.
Yeah,
it was.
well,
yeah. So it was an event. It was an event.
I remember here the first time we did this, everybody was really scared. Remember that?
Yeah.
Also because we had this Dutch actor.
He's over there on the left. Yeah, he does get very excited. I do remember him.
Yeah, and he was kind of
physical.
He was very physical.
This is your mark, Mary.
Yeah.
He was very, very, very physical. Had you been told by you to do that, or was he just?
No, well, but since the idea was that everybody should do more or less what they liked the first time.
Okay, so he can be excused.
Yeah. Well, I think he did good, but it was very violent. So
he actually hit Jeremy. He hit.
I would have done that myself. So that doesn't say much.
Yeah.
He
needs hitting.
He needs a little hitting. But no, but
here we go. That's a go.
Yeah. But he was only a part of it. I think just the fact that these cars are coming into the town that they have now lived in for 6 weeks, and these cars and the weapons and whatever. I think all this was everybody was actually a little bit scared.
It was unnerving.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a space there the size of what it is, and you've been spending every best part of 6 weeks there in comparative pleasure and quietness and peace. Sometimes it was very peaceful just to sit there in the lunch break and just lie on the bed and have a kip, wasn't it? And that all got destroyed. Yeah. That's a bit what I mean about being in an event. It was a bit of an event.
But that's why it's also good, to shoot this first rehearsal.
Yeah.
Because after the first rehearsal, then you don't care that the cars are coming on. But the first time you get something out of it.
That's a bit like combines well with what you were saying about pointing. You're not in control. You haven't staged things, so you're not quite sure what's going to happen.
No, and it is very much different. The second time, everybody knows where everybody are. Yeah. And that means that when you look to the left, you know where to look.
Yeah.
And it is different.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's good, and that is you can use the very controlled, but you can also use the things that are not very controlled.
Yeah.
So it's good to have.
Yeah. This was difficult in there.
Well,
it was difficult because I'll tell you why I thought it was difficult.
Okay.
Because you're standing in front of two, as always with the rest of the film, but two extraordinary capacities. It's a very serious scene. You're kind of closing the film gradually here. Two fantastic capacities playing the major scene they have together in the film, and I couldn't really. If I got in there with the camera, it was making a noise like a steamroller. like a sewing machine. The sound were having trouble. They couldn't get in there. This is one of the limitations still of this camera. It's very annoying, distracting for the actors as well. I couldn't get my lights in. And it's a limit. It's a limit to what you can do aesthetically in lights. It's two people sitting in a car for quite a long time, and it's obviously about words and about faces and about acting. It's not about travelling around the car or craning or dollying or anything like we entirely. But I did find it. I love the scene anyway. But this is also where you had the situation where I operated some of the time, and there was a concern about where you should sit. Do you remember that? It was annoying.
Yeah,
it went away again.
But come on, they're
intense about the work.
This is how they work.
Yeah.
You know. It's kind of. I think Jimmy was doing a fantastic job, just coming in like that and doing a scene like that. That was amazing.
Yeah. Have you seen him, Jimmy? Have you spoken to him?
No, I haven't spoken to him, and I miss him, and I miss Nick, and that's how it is.
It's good to miss.
It's good to miss.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Arrogant is quite a big word in this film.
It's said a lot of times. Yes.
Yeah. So one does sense a little bit you were planting the seeds to a quite serious
ending of the.
Well, yeah, serious generator to the whole story of your trilogy. It's great there.
Actors can be taught many useful things, but not if we forgive them every time they obey their own nature. Yes.
They are like father and daughter, aren't they? They really are.
Yes. Fuck, what the hell?
What did we spend, a day and a half on the scene? A day or two? 2 days, didn't we?
I think 2 days, but that was the whole thing with him,
the burning.
wasn't it?
And with the burning as well.
Yeah, that was not a lot. But that is something that you could also have rehearsed, days before, but we didn't.
We just jumped into it.
Yeah. And you can see on her, for instance, there. He was doing something that he had not done before. You could see it on her. It's nothing that can be acted.
No.
You can, and these little things put in between the other things.
Create life.
Also little mistakes when they get when they talk over each other's lines, or they don't really get their cue or whatever.
Or
it's or when they wait for it's kind of, but she's very good at listening also.
Yeah.
No, I remember some of the French audience was very puzzled by the end of the film.
By this dialogue?
No, not by the dialogue, but by what comes after
Okay.
this. The killing of everybody.
The verdict of Nicole.
and to me it's of course very logical.
So talk to me about why it's logical.
Well,
is it about vengeance? Or about justification?
Well, it's first of all because that was the concept, or the whole idea is that was how it should end. So of course I've been writing until there, and then I've had when you write towards a goal or a target, then at a certain point you get problems.
Yeah,
and of course this long narration bit is the way I'm trying to solve the problem, right?
Is your target to, whether it's a moral or a target or comment, is it to justify these people deserve to die?
No, I wouldn't call it. Moral. It's just a story that ends this way, and to see if you can make the psychology, work all the way
together.
I would never do a story that would, that could only be read one way, right? She's not a hero. They are not heroes, right? They're not bad guys. She's not bad guy.
She's a murderess with redeeming qualities.
Well, she has the power, and maybe all of us would be murderers if we had the power. And she also has some ideals, and that is a dangerous cocktail.
Yeah.
And all these
Will they come to flower in the next one? Don't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
paused. And while she did,
I hear rumours, whether it be in France or Bulgaria or wherever, that people do react to this end.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the brutality of it, I suppose. Perhaps people are caught by surprise in the fact that I wouldn't necessarily say they enjoy seeing a village be slaughtered, but on a storyline basis, you feel.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, it's kind
they
of
deserve it,
it's
sort
kind
of.
of the lower human instincts that are kind of satisfied by this ending, but that doesn't necessarily make it right. Or it
Well, I
not
felt
right.
just the same. I felt a little bit the same way about the driving, the primus motor of fest celebration.
Yeah.
The vengeance, the kind of the vengeance factor, the aggression factor, and the boy's speech and getting back at his dad. The same kind of thing. It's
But the
primitive.
reason why I was so interested in it and why it was so powerful comes from, of course, this Bertolt Brecht song, right? Where this revenge motive is so clear, and it's something that's so where I come from, so forbidden, right? The revenge.
Yeah. But that we've already agreed that you're going to, when we finish this, you're going to close this session by singing. Isn't that right? You're going to sing what you can remember of the song? I think that's what we said.
No. We said that you were going to sing this old Russian song that you know so well.
Oh, the old balaclava rock
Yes,
thing.
yes.
We'll sing them both together.
Okay, later on when.
But do you want to say a little bit about that break for people who don't know? I mean, I've read it in the book, but do you want to say a little bit about that break? Or it's clear? I should read it.
Well, I think that you should put it on the DVD, this Brecht song, actually. Wasn't that a good idea? Anyway, the text should be there somewhere if we can be allowed to use it, and it would be wonderful to have it with text. Nina Simone did a good version. No, that's actually it's actually taken from. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah,
later.
well, I'd like it in English.
But that would be obvious to put there.
But like Stellan's activities, the rape of Nicole is obviously, it may have been fun for him, but it's primitive. I mean, you're kind
It's
of
very
demonstrating
primitive,
the ultimate primitive greed, jealousy.
But what I like about it
manipulation.
is that he's actually very refined the way he's using his language, and all his ideas and his analysis of the town. So it's
Redeeming
interesting
qualities.
that he's the most primitive.
But
in
he
that
has
sense.
redeeming qualities. He has
Oh,
a
yes.
sensitivity and he sees things that other people don't talk about. Yeah.
But
And then
all of them actually has some hatred towards Grace from the start.
from the start.
Yeah, I think that's very clear to see. They all, for some reason, hate her. She's wealthy.
She's unknown.
Yeah, she's wealthy. She's good looking. And she's doing all the right things. That's kind of also
Provocative.
unbearable.
It's really
unbearable.
Good taste in clothes.
That's what I want to use the power.
Looks beautiful even though she's mopping up the dishes.
Yes.
That kind of thing. But again, there's a repeat last slight point in Mandalay, which is the second one you write. There's a repeating theme about Timothy, for example, saying to the female character Grace, you're coming here and you're messing around with something you don't really care about. The whole thing about the two cultures, the white culture and the black culture meeting each other. That comes in the next one. This is the same thing as foreigner arriving in this from another planet, really.
Yeah.
What are you doing in our neck of the woods?
Yeah,
I mean,
but this is more or less what all the films have been about. Europa or Centropa,
Breaking
as
away.
it was called. Is somebody, especially Centropa, is somebody coming from outside trying to do good.
Yeah.
And that can be a little
Provocative.
Yeah, it's like being nice to the animals in the wood, right?
Yeah. So shooting them or eating them.
And kind of shooting some of them and letting some of them live and kind of regulating nature.
Regulating nature and regulating the morale.
Oh yes. I remember Karen Blixen. She had she has a little park, where she lives.
Yeah, up in Rungstad.
Yeah, and she had an idea. It should be a park for little birds that were singing,
Nice.
but not for bigger birds and not for kind of what do you call it, birds?
Vultures.
Yeah, not for that. So there are little side You know, I don't know if the birds were supposed to read it, but she wanted to have this park only for little cute singing
nice.
birds. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is nice.
Yes, because it's difficult to imagine a world with only little cute singing birds.
Yeah, it would.
And maybe they're not so cute because you don't know what they're singing. You know, maybe it's maybe it's a very bad language they have.
Yeah, what they hide under their wings.
Yeah.
That was careless. Was it shoot the place and burn the? What was it? What did he say?
Oh yeah, that's. I think he's doing a good line there. Yes. Shoot the people. Yeah, because he is kind of, there's a question mark after it. You know, burn down the town. Shoot the people. Shoot them. Burn down the town.
Yeah.
Question mark.
Yeah.
He's completely lost there. Oh yes, sure.
He thought he was leading the way, but she seems to have overtaken him.
Yeah.
Here we go.
But also this that why should you look at it? You know.
Yeah.
Oh, she has.
It's nice that the flames replace the blood, all this necessity of blood and gore and bullet holes and stuff. It's not.
I think somehow it's wrong that she's crying, that she has this little tear. I think maybe it's wrong.
Do you think so?
Yeah, because it's actually more defending the character than, and I used it. Of course, I could have.
Yeah, I could have done. My favourite.
It's. I think it's really underdoing it, because either you kind of break down or you're just completely cool about it. You know, it's kind of shedding one tear over this is kind of an insult somehow.
The famous Danish would be being between two chairs. You think so?
Yeah.
Well, I was in doubt as to whether it was a tear, whether it was just a reflection or something.
This, I think, is much better.
It's a very brutal cut, isn't it?
This as a reaction. But I've asked for it. It's nothing that I've... But I'm just wondering if it's right.
No, we're not really in doubt, are we?
What's going to happen? No.
It's kind of the prize of all prizes.
Wasn't it Chekhov that said that you know, if...
Edge with a bullet.
If you buy a bullet in Act 1, then...
You've got to use it in the last, yeah. I think he knows.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo. Was that you or him? Bingo.
No, that was a line that he liked very much. Bingo, Grace, bingo.
That wasn't pointing. Was that you or me? Can you remember? That was you, wasn't it?
I think it was you.
I can't remember. Okay, well, because that's kind of criminal. That act, going down with the gun. That was perhaps, in retrospect, wrong.
Looks like something from Miss Saigon.
Mishima. Miss Saigon. Mishima.
Yeah, whatever.
Chekhov. And,
yeah. Well.
more tears.
Somehow the whole ending is a little weak. After the shooting, so it's not really believable.
I wonder what you could have done.
I wonder, but
this
will all be explained in the next chapter.
I mean, the rounding off of the dog is fantastic. I think the stealing of the food and ending up with Moses. I think. I don't know. I've always assumed you had some kind of allegories of human nature and dogs and Dogville. I presume
all
that's
stuff like that.
Yeah, I presume that's all there.
You've really been reading, haven't you?
No, I just have it in me. It's just
okay.
I don't know. It just. I didn't have much time to photograph. I had time to read the script. I had more time than normal. So.
But that's the funny thing about the elms is that I wrote about the Elm Street.
Well, we talked about Elm Street. Do you remember about the video game?
Yeah.
Which we not meant to mention.
Yeah. In the video game there was an Elm Street, but then I later on found out that there was never any elm trees in Rocky Mountain. So then I had to put in a story about that. It was, some sentimental soul from the East Coast.
Oh, a pioneer.
Yeah. He's a pioneer.
He was going to find his gold and plant elm trees and import them.
Yeah. Anyway, call it Elm Street.
This is interesting. It's more interesting. This shot is done afterwards. This is shot 2 or 3 months later, isn't it? This one.
Yeah. Yeah, and the dog was not really good enough.
He's all right. He's a big fat dog. Talk about these pictures, these images. This is a little comment here, isn't it? It's a bit of
I like very much these pictures.
Beautiful.
They are the reason why they are is that they were kind of the research material for the film. All these depression photos. And then it became kind of the theme.
Yeah.
And then we kind of took these people up to date by using these newer pictures by Jacob Holt.
He was a Dane who's lived in America for 30 years or something.
Yeah.
Jacob Holt is the great man who apparently once, in one of his temporary unofficial jobs as a bouncer in a nightclub, tried to throw Bob Dylan out of a nightclub or refused him entrance. He kept saying kind of politely, I do kind of usually come here. And Jacob Holt was the doorman. I think it was his first night in the club. And he said, I'm sorry, if you don't pay, you can't come in. True Scandinavian, you know. You can't pay. If you can't pay, you can't get in here. But I think he got fired for Bob Dylan.
Well, then he started doing photography and
he did a good point.
And I'm this the David Bowie song is of course something I was crazy about when I was at that age.
That's right.
But what was interesting, or the interesting thing, is that I always thought that the text was all night she was the young American, but it seems that the text is really all night she wants the young Americans. Which
I wouldn't have known.
doesn't give makes more sense, but no, you can, it's been criticized a lot, these pictures. I like them.
Has it really?
Yes.
Oh, I don't see any point in that. For God's sake, it's ridiculous to criticize them.
You can't criticize facts.
No. Well,
Okay, I think we've said about this film what can and should be said, and even more, maybe.
It's nice to see it again. I missed the premiere, so it's nice to pop back and see it.
Well, let's see what comes out of the next film.
Yep.
Maybe we're all dead before it happens. Do you feel like that you are leaving this?
Just give me one little light on the floor, and it'll all be okay. Just give me one light.
One little light. Yeah, long credits. I think this is it, don't you?
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.